the general characteristics of pipe flows, and the first general characteristic that we want to look at is that whether the flow is laminar, turbulent or transitional in nature. That is, if we are thinking about a flow through a pipe, we talk about a flow rate, okay, that is the amount of volume that flows per second through the pipe, and based on the flow rate and the cross-sectional area, you could define an average velocity. You know about this. Average velocity is flow rate divided by area. We assume that the average velocity is something that on an average every layer of fluid has, and the cross section consists of fluid that flows at a uniform velocity. Well, of course, in reality this is not the picture. What we really have in the flow could be that this flow velocity may vary with position. That is, you don't have the same velocity at every point. Instead, you have a velocity that varies with position, but we define the average velocity such that with the velocity over as a function of position, when integrated over the cross-sectional area, gives us the volume flow rate, and based on the volume flow rate, we calculate an area, we calculate the average velocity. Now, this picture hides the micro details of the flow. It does not tell us, when you say the average velocity is such and such meter per second, it does not tell you whether the flow itself is laminar, turbulent or transitional, or in other words, the flow itself has some characteristics that can be traced back to the microscopic level. Now, before we do this discussion, you need to understand what these terms actually mean. Like, we are going to use them again and again. You know them from maybe everyday life, especially the word turbulent, but we don't know the other two terms. So let's talk about them first. Turbulence, I'll start with that. The word turbulent itself means that something is not steady, something has a lot of unpredictability, something that has a lot of randomness or chaos. That's typically what we call as turbulence. Now, there is no clear way to define laminar to me, except I'll say that it is the absence of turbulence. Like, for example, if we take any particular point in the flow, okay, let's take a particular point A, and suppose you immerse a velocity probe at that point, so that you are monitoring the velocity at A. Let's say we monitor the x component of the velocity at A, where x is this direction. We are monitoring the x component of the velocity at A as a function of time. As a function of time. A laminar flow would be one in which the velocity is almost independent of time. That is, if I take the velocity at that particular point, I'm monitoring that velocity alone, and that velocity happens to be independent of time. Okay, so you have something that's flat, that doesn't change. If you keep observing the same point, you keep measuring the same velocity. This is a situation in which we call the flow to be steady. Because the velocity itself is independent of time. First of all, it's independent of time, and we call it laminar. When the velocity is free from fluctuations. We call it laminar when the velocity is free from fluctuations or random variations in the value of the magnitude of the velocity. Now, there is a very subtle difference between being steady and being laminar. You could be unsteady, but you could still be laminar. By that, what I mean is, at the same point, you could have a situation where the velocity is randomly fluctuating, but if I take a large enough interval between, let's say, here and here, if I take a large enough interval and I average the velocity, if I average the velocity, that is, if I calculate the average velocity of the x component over time, that is, this triangular bracket is average over time or time average. If I calculate the average over time, these fluctuations, they are all about the same common mean value. They all add up to 0. So over a long period of time, the velocity is not quite changing. It's still whatever this value is. It's not changing in the long run, so we still call it steady. But if you look at the short run, if you look at these fluctuations, you have what are called as random fluctuations, which we call it to be turbulent. So this is a case where there are fluctuations, and that is the hallmark, or that is the characteristic of turbulence or turbulent flow. That is the characteristic of turbulence. Okay, so when we call something turbulent, what we are really implying is, at the microscopic level, at a given point, the flow velocity has a lot of fluctuations with time. When you call something laminar, it is simply the absence of any such fluctuations. If you observe the velocity at this point, it's always the same value with respect to time, or even if it varies smoothly with time. It doesn't change randomly at the microscopic level. The absence of fluctuations is what I call as a laminar flow. And transitional is basically that you have a laminar flow which is nice and smooth, velocity with time, and then on the other end you have turbulence, where you have full-blown fluctuations that are present at every time, or present at continuously. And transitional is anywhere in between. That is, you are not yet here, or you are not here, or you are not yet here. If you have a flow velocity that has some fluctuations, but for most part it is steady, that would be an example of a transitional flow. Laminar, no fluctuations. Turbulence, completely developed fluctuations. And then transitional is something in between, as the name suggests. It's the transition between here to there, between laminar to turbulent. This is if you observe the velocity at a fixed point. You are just observing the velocity at one particular point. Okay. You can also look at turbulence, or you can look at what is laminar. If you look at the entire flow field, instead of focusing on a single point, let's focus on the entire flow field. Okay. If you focus on the entire flow field, let's say you have, this experiment is described in the book. Let's say you have a thin tube that is inserted at the center line. Okay. And through the thin tube, let's suppose this is water that is flowing through a pipe that we are seeing from the side. It's let's say a transparent pipe that you can see, that you can actually observe. Near the center line, let's say you have a very, very fine capillary that injects a dye, something to visualize the flow. A very thin stream of dye with about the same viscosity as the liquid, as the water. Okay. If the flow velocity is, if the flow is laminar, what will happen is the dye will simply follow these streamlines and it will keep spreading along the axial direction. There will be some broadening. There will be some broadening over distance, And that broadening is because the dye also diffuses. It also diffuses in the radial direction. In the radial direction. The dye diffuses in the radial direction, so you have some broadening. You have some broadening of the dye, but for most part, the dye is advected in the axial direction. That is, if you just had a blob of dye here, and then there is no flow, eventually the dye will spread and take up the entire volume. You know that. You take a little drop of dye, you drop it into a beaker at the center. Over time, the entire beaker will slowly take up that color. If you put a lot of dye, it will become a strong color. If you put less amount of dye, it's a weaker color. But if you put the dye, the nature of matter is that it diffuses, so that there is no concentration difference throughout the dye. So it becomes uniformly the same color because it tries to diffuse until that concentration difference goes away. If you inject a dye through this fine capillary near the center line in a flow that's predominantly going to the left to right, that is along the axial direction, the dye is also taken along with the flow. That is what we mean by advection. It is advected in the axial direction, and in the transverse direction or in the radial direction, what happens is that the dye still undergoes some diffusion. It still tries to spread in the radial direction, but it's like swimming in a river that's flowing from left to right. If you are here and let's say you are trying to swim in this direction, but the river's velocity is much higher, what ends up happening is that if you didn't try anything, maybe you would end up here, but because you are also trying to swim, as a result you would be ending up maybe somewhere here. The same thing happens here. The dye has a natural propensity to diffuse in the perpendicular direction. That's what we call as the radial direction. To diffuse, which means diffuse always means the same thing in any context. Diffuse means spread until the concentration becomes uniform everywhere. Diffuse means to spread until the concentration becomes uniform everywhere, or diffuse also means diffuse, spread until the concentration gradient becomes zero or negligible. So the dye spreads uniformly. It is advected in the axial direction along this streamline, only along this streamline, because we injected the dye in a very, very small, narrow capillary along the center line. So the combined result of that is that the dye spreads by a small amount, and this small amount is proportional to the both advection and the diffusion. Remember my river example. Your velocity swim in the perpendicular direction and you are carried away by the river in this direction. So the resultant is that you land up somewhere here. So this is typical of laminar flow. This whole situation typical of laminar flow. This is typical of laminar flow because the flow takes place only along the streamline. There is minimal cross diffusion. There is minimal diffusion in the perpendicular direction, so the spreading is less compared to what we are going to see now. If you had the same dye injected in a flow, if if you had the same dye injected in a flow where, let's say, you have velocity let's say this flow is turbulent. If this flow is turbulent, the same experiment where you inject a dye near the center line, now if you for example see a pot of water that is boiling, that's near the boiling point, you would see that there are these huge swirls that are originating from the bottom. They bring the fluid up, and the fluid at the top is taken down. There is swirling, there is a lot of circulation going on. A turbulent flow is not very different. What happens is the fluid that is along any streamline it undergoes a lot of perpendicular diffusion as well as axial diffusion. Meaning what I am saying is there is a lot of swirling because there is tremendous amount of kinetic energy in this flow. The fluid transmits it in every possible direction, so that if you have something here, it is circulated easily and soon it will end up occupying the entire cross section. Think about this example. Suppose you had that little drop of dye, you drop it near the center of a beaker and you do nothing, you walk away, it slowly spreads to the entire beaker and makes it color. Same dye, you drop it at the center, you take a spoon and stir your beaker of water. You stir it quickly, what happens? The turbulence that you create, the agitation that you create, mixes the dye very quickly, and within no time your entire beaker is uniformly colored. That is, you can speed up the process of diffusion by introducing turbulence, because turbulent mixing is the most efficient form of mixing fluid from all parts of your fluid domain. One more example, what will happen here in this instance is, if you have injected the dye is supposed to be transported along the axis by the flow, but it is also taken in the perpendicular direction quickly, because there is a lot of fluid that is mixing from the adjacent layers into this layer and taking fluid from this layer into adjacent layers. So there is mixing like this happening at every location along the radial direction. So the dye, instead of in this situation where it is just uniformly spreading through the domain, slowly, laminar means slowly, the mixing is slowly, whereas in turbulence, in no time, the entire cross section is filled with the dye, where the mixing happens quickly. Again, slow and quick are relative to each other. In laminar, the mixing happens slowly relative to the turbulent case. So turbulence, to summarize, is really the transport of fluid momentum at rates higher than the fluid momentum along the let's say fluid momentum along the directions perpendicular to the motion of the fluid. That is, what we are talking about is, if you are trying to move the fluid along a direction, if there is considerable transport of fluid momentum in the perpendicular directions, if you are trying to do this, you want to avoid this. You want to avoid this smaller arrow. But if it turns out that when you are trying to do this, this happens significantly, that is a case where the fluid transports momentum very efficiently in the perpendicular directions, and this leads to most efficient mixing of several fluid layers. So what that means is, not only momentum is being redistributed throughout the flow, what it also means is any species like the dye we inject or scalars like heat or temperature are uniformly spread throughout the flow. So laminar, to summarize, is the layer by layer flow of liquid. I'll say layer by layer flow of fluid, not only liquid, fluid, whereas turbulent turbulent flow is the cross mixing, or is the flow accompanied by widespread transverse, or meaning perpendicular mixing. When I say perpendicular, I mean perpendicular to the direction of flow. Okay, so that is the main difference between laminar and turbulent flows. And in pipe flows, we will encounter both in industrial situations or in any type of flow, internal flow or pipe flow situation. Depending on what is the flow velocity or how much kinetic energy there is in the flow, you could have either laminar or turbulent flow. And your purpose of this unit is to understand how to quantitatively